you introduce the company. I'm really pleased to be here. I have been to Croatia. Actually, I have been to Split before as a visiting researcher. So it is great to be here back after so many years. Before I start, I want to ask, is there anybody who is developing any blockchain applications or part of any blockchain startup? If it is possible, you can write at the chat. I'll be glad to know. Or have you heard about blockchain before? I'm checking the chat. Meanwhile, so if you have done something, I will be glad if you write. So welcome to this presentation about ChromaWay and our Chromia ecosystem, Chromia platform. And we'll talk about creating blockchain startups. So what we will cover today, we will have an introduction. Part of the introduction is already done by student incubator, and we'll talk about ChromaWay, Chromia, and then we will give examples what type of startups that ChromaWay helped to be developed on blockchain. And of course, later on we will say we have a new service that is available for for startups and for other businesses who would like to develop startups on blockchain. And we will have a Q&A. As you already heard our names, in addition to Olena, Yoso, Jure, and Niels, I have also two team members, again, Serhat, they are also here. They will be following chat discussions if you have any questions. So they are part of the team also. And I just want to highlight that we have two team members from Croatia, actually, Yoso and Jure. So you can reach them whenever you want to reach. So please do not hesitate. Now I am going to give stage to my friend Niels to continue for the presentation. Niels.
Yes, thank you.
Please let me know when I should move on.
Yes,
the next one.
Of course. Cool. What's up, guys? My name is Niels, and I'm a blockchain developer slash sort of business developer, and it's a really fun job. It's, you know, new stuff every day. We were selling NFTs. We're sort of developing music platforms and real estate, and yes, it's a good job. And blockchain, why we are all here, so to speak. And I would like to start to just explain shortly what it is. And I mean, I would put an emphasis on short here because blockchain, you can sort of have a full university course on what it is. But a blockchain is a distributed storage of data. And what I mean about that is, on a blockchain, there are several computers holding the same information. And this, of course, makes it more secure and robust. So, for example, if one computer breaks down, the information is still there on all the other computers. But just storing data is not that much fun, right? You also need to be able to change it. And on a blockchain, that means you send a transaction to the blockchain network that asks to change something. And then that should change the same on all the computers on the network. And how they accomplish this with blockchain is with cryptography and consensus algorithms. So what is cryptography? Well, that's also a thing you can have like full university courses on, and people write like PhD theses on cryptography. But for now, we can say that it's just a way to send data. So you are certain about what was sent and who was sending it. So what was sent and who was sending it. And then we have the consensus algorithm, the second part in like how to change data on the blockchain so that everyone change it in the same way. And the consensus algorithm is simply like a piece of code that makes sure that when I send a transaction to the blockchain, to the network, one computer receives it, distributes it to all the other computers. They calculate it. If they come up with the same answer, all the computers or most of the computers, they have reached consensus. So, a blockchain, a distributed storage of data that uses cryptography and consensus algorithms to alter the stored information. But if you know a bit more about blockchain, you might say, well, hello, Niels, like there's proofs and there's mining and like a lot of more stuff. And yes, you are correct. Like I said, you can have full courses on what a blockchain is. But for now, I think this is pretty much what we need to know. But I also think that all of you have heard about Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is running on the Bitcoin blockchain. But on the Bitcoin blockchain, you can only send Bitcoins to each other. And that is like really revolutionizing in of itself. But after the Bitcoin was revealed like to the world, people quickly figured out, what if we can store and send code to the blockchain? And this is where like the revolutionizing cool stuff happens, according to me at least, because it makes it much more fun and you can do much more stuff with it. So if you change slide, please. Yes. So this is where our own Alex Mizrahi comes in. So he figured this out and developed something he called colored coins in 2012. And that's a more dynamic version of Bitcoin. And in 2014, he was joined by Or Perman and Henrik Želite. So these are our three founders, or what you should say, and they founded ChromaWay. And right away, they started developing sort of real-world applications on colored coins. And this slowly but steadily morphed into or changed into what we now call relational blockchain. And that's a blockchain running on top of relational databases. So if you're a developer and know SQL, like relational blockchain, it's really easy to understand. So that is cool. I really like it. If we take the next slide. But relational blockchain is maybe not the most memorable name. So we call it Chromia. So ChromaWay is the company that is building a blockchain called Chromia. So ChromaWay is the company, Chromia is the blockchain. And yes, next slide, please. So the goal of Chromia is to be a blockchain that it's super easy to make dApps on and super easy to use for users, like usability, and it should scale well. And now you might ask, okay, what is a dApp? Well, it's short for decentralized application. And what we mean with decentralized application is that it's just an application running on the blockchain. So if you know a bit more about blockchain, the blockchain space, you might say, okay, cool, Chromia does that, but there are a ton of other blockchains that does that as well. Like you can, on other blockchains, you can launch dApps, NFTs, coins, games, DeFi, swapping, and yes, like endless possibilities. Next slide, please. But we think that, or if you look at these other blockchains, the biggest one is Ethereum, the biggest decentralized application blockchain. And we think that most blockchains has a few problems. One of them being a bad user experience. So to interact with, for example, Ethereum, or like to interact with the dApp on Ethereum, you need something called ETH. And ETH is just a currency that you pay with to make a transaction to the network or to the blockchain. Or as we learned, as I said, you pay to alter the information on the blockchain. So imagine that you create a dApp, you're like happy, cool, you made your first dApp, rock and roll, and then you put it up on Ethereum. Your users will need to have ETH to interact with your dApp. And to get your hands on ETH, if you're not, how should I say, technical, can be quite a hassle and tricky and expensive. So to make one, like you need ETH, and just making one transaction on Ethereum, the simplest one you can make, the cheapest one, will run every user every time they do it around $20 to $30. So imagine that you launch your dApp and you think it's really great. You had a good time doing it. And you need also, like, on top of that, you need to convince your users that every time they interact with your dApp, they need to pay at least $20. And that can be quite hard, I think, at least. Also, developing these dApps can be quite knowledge intense. Like, you need to know what you're doing to keep good security and to keep everything neat and tight, and so that it works and it's easy to use. So this is what ChromaWay wants to solve. Next slide, please. So on Chromia blockchain, you can have millions of users interacting with your dApp for no fees and no waiting time. And like that's good, because now you can create dApps that like is easy and more user-friendly and more open to everyone. And also for developers, if you know JavaScript and SQL, it's really easy to learn, since we have built, like, the blockchain is on relational databases, and there are pre-built clients that makes it very easy to talk to your dApp, like in JavaScript. And how have we done this, you might ask? So next slide, please. We have developed our own coding language called REL. So you use REL to code your dApp, and then you can put it up on the Chromia blockchain. And just as an example, if there are some developers here, next slide, please. We can show the efficiency of REL compared to other blockchain coding languages. So on the left here, you can see one code snippet, that's REL. On the right, you can see another code snippet, that's for the Cosmos blockchain. And these snippets do the same thing. So you see that it's much more compact, efficient, easy to read than many other blockchain coding languages. Yes. Next slide, please. So what ChromaWay has developed, which I think is really cool, is the storage level, like the Chromia blockchain. And then you have REL, which is the application level. You can make a dApp, put it up on the blockchain. And then you have the client side, like in the web browser or something, you can talk to your code, to your dApp. And that's really neat. But if you think about it a bit, just this is not quite enough. But Chromia, being an awesome company, has you covered on that as well. So next slide, please. To be able to, or rather, okay, so blockchain, in blockchain, it's very big with tokens, like a currency, a coin, to be able to trade coins between each other. But for that to work, you need a standard. And we have what we call the FT3 token standard, which make it super easy for any developer to just implement a token or develop a token in a few lines of code. But then on the user side, to view these tokens or to see what dApps they are connected to, you need a wallet, or what we call a vault, or the Chromia vault. So in the vault, you can see all the coins you own and everything you have connected to as a user. And really cool with the vault is that we have the single sign-on feature that lets you sign into a dApp or lets the user allow a dApp to keep them signed in. And why do we need this? Well, okay, imagine that you're playing a game and every time you have to interact with the blockchain, you need to pause the game and sign a transaction. That's not very user-friendly. So with a single sign-on, you can log in sort of to a dApp, let it do its thing, and you can play the game, and then you can log out if you like. Then we also have the block explorer. So this is a good thing to get an overview. Like you can take any block and view the transactions made in that block. And then we have Chromia originals and NFTs, or non-fungible tokens. And this is where people sell, apes and kittens and punks and art, all kinds of stuff. But the problem with sort of regular NFTs is that you usually just buy a link. So in the NFT, there's a link that is pointing to a server. And on that server, the metadata is hosted and the art is hosted. But what if the server goes down? Then you only own a link, you don't own the art. So Chromia Originals is really cool because you can put metadata and the art on chain. So no more risk of like a server going down and you're losing your art. So you're not buying or selling a link, you're selling the actual art. And that's really good. Next slide, please. Yes. So a quick recap. ChromaWay is the company that is building the Chromia blockchain. To develop a dApp and put it up on the Chromia blockchain, you code it in RHEL, our own coding language. With that comes pre-built clients, especially JavaScript, but more on the way. And to make life easier for everyone, developers and users alike, we have the FT3 token standard, the vault, the single sign-on feature, the block explorer, and Chromia originals. And to get a better grasp of what you can do, maybe some inspiration, I think Olena will speak a bit about what we are currently developing.
Yes. Hello, guys. Thank you, Niels, for this very useful presentation of Chromia and our blockchain. I'm the one responsible for business development, which means that on a daily basis, I work with partners, clients, businesses, entrepreneurs, and everyone interested to try out our technology, everyone who has an idea or already a working product that is possible to put on blockchain. And our business model, the way that we are trying to prove that Chromia blockchain is better and more efficient than other blockchains, is to build a variety of different use cases. So throughout the career, we built use cases in gaming. That's where we focus the most these days, but also music, sustainability, finance, education, you name it. So basically, we are very open for cooperation and discovering different interesting cases that would enrich our portfolio, but also prove that Chromia is suitable for different industries. And today I'm going to focus on 3 of our most successful use cases. All 3 of them were developed by our team in 2021. So it's basically a little recap of what we have done and achieved this year. And I want to focus first on blockchain gaming, especially now with the discussion of metaverse and the possibilities of blockchain to build this metaverse. After the announcement of Facebook, I think it is very relevant. We discovered this way earlier than Facebook did. So how do we build these projects? If we look into blockchain gaming, there were some preconditions that we considered while designing and defining the concept of games. So first of all, we bought the gaming studio called Antler Interactive. So we had a bunch of game developers, 3D designers, game economists on board who were really interested and eager to try blockchain in gaming and to see how it can actually improve the whole industry. One of the biggest problems that they spotted is that gaming is a huge industry, but it is also very easy to cheat. And we believe that one of the big benefits of why blockchain is suitable for video games is actually that it eliminates this problem of being dishonest and cheating while playing. So this is one. We also developed our own standard for non-fungible tokens that Niels has mentioned briefly. It's called Chromia Originals. It could be anything from a game character to apes, to a piece of song, to video, basically anything that is digitalized. So we had a standard for NFTs, and we also spotted that what is very hot these days in the industry is DeFi, this aka decentralized finance. So we thought that blockchain gaming can combine all of these 3 features, but not just that. I think it's much more than that. It's also play to earn, which is a huge, a very hyped concept these days in gaming and in blockchain in general. It's when you spend your time completing different tasks and quests in game, and while spending your time in the game, you also earn valuable rewards and different benefits. So our very first and very successful try was the game called My Neighbor Alice. Next slide, please. So the concept, it took us around 2 years to actually come up with something that is interesting to the public, but also suitable for blockchain. And My Neighbor Alice is a multiplayer blockchain game where you can purchase a plot of land and build your own little heaven, buy a little house, create a farm, purchase animals, do different activities like farming, fishing, crafting, hunting, beekeeping, flower collecting, whatnot. But what makes this game different from other ordinary non-blockchain games is that every single item in the game is an NFT, which means you own it no matter what happens to My Neighbor Alice in the future. You are an official, you can prove the ownership of that character or that item that you bought. This is basically what an NFT is. And it appeared to be very successful. One of the reasons is that it combined all of those factors, preconditions that I mentioned before. We launched in March 2021. We have a large user base of over 100,000 interested players who are waiting for the game to be released in 2022. The game also has its own currency called Alice that is growing quite fast. And in the future, when the game is launched, you will be able to use this currency to purchase in-game items, that is NFTs, purchase plot of land, and basically start playing and interacting with your friends. Next slide is actually a little snippet, a video. You can try turn it on. I connected the video, so if you just click on play, you could just have a little look on how it works. So this is the main town on the Lumelunda archipelago. So users will be able to run around, discover the area, speak to different main characters like Alice, but also many others, and complete the quests. So as you can see, it's very cute. It's very easy to play, especially those who like playing Sims many years ago. I think this is something that they will enjoy quite a lot. So next slide, please. This is our second game that was also, it took us around 2 years as well to come up with the concept and design it and put it on blockchain. This is fully blockchain-based game that is called Mines of the Larnia. It is an action adventure game in which you also own a mine, a plot of a mine, and you spend your time playing and mining different rare materials like gold and iron. And the more materials you have, the more different benefits and the more adventures you can have in game. We just launched this game in the crypto world like 2 weeks ago, so it's very new but incredibly successful. It has its own cryptocurrency, the token that you use in order to access different functionalities in game. It's called DAR, D-A-R, and yeah, this is the second basically proof of concept that blockchain is really good for gaming and improves a lot of problematic parts or problematic areas. So if you click next slide, there's also a little snippet of the game if you're curious how it looks like. This is the game for those who actually like to mine and just to spend their time playing this exploratory game, picking different items what you mine with, buy the plots, and yeah, just enjoy it. So this is, and the next slide, please. This is the last example of the game, of the project that we are building and that I'm responsible for as well. This is a bit different. So we are slowly moving towards blockchain music. We are doing we're doing this cooperation with a Swedish startup called koje, founded by two very experienced guys in the music field that have over 20 years of experience in universal music. So they already had this crowdfunding platform for independent artists, but they figured that in a way the platform itself lacks this fun game element where the fans can not just support their favorite artist, but also communicate with each other and just have fun on the platform. And we felt like blockchain can actually do something with it. So we included music NFTs that are also booming quite a lot. Basically, it's about turning a piece of music, a piece of a song into an NFT, digitalizing it and creating a unique ID and owning it for reals. We also added the social tokens component for big artists like Beyonce or Shakira. If she ever comes, she could have her own token that her fans will be able to purchase and own and buy different experiences with her. We have this crowdfunding element that I just told you about, and we have play to earn, also discovering a lot of possibilities of how play to earn could be used not just in games but also in other industries like music. And in this case, it's basically listen to earn / support to earn / have fun and earn. Yeah, so this is our success use cases, and I give the floor to my next colleague. Next slide, please. And if you have any more questions about this project, let me know.
What wonderful projects. So as a result, if there is a startup who would like to use blockchain, or if you want to start a startup, or if there's an existing business that would like to utilize blockchain technology for their product and services, what they can do. So as a result, since we have seen this type of challenge and problem in the ecosystem and with the startup, we said, okay, we will start our ChromaWay Innovation Lab. And under that, we will provide different type of services such as ChromaWay Academy. And one of them is incubation program. So for the incubation program, hopefully we will launch it next week. If you have any business idea that you can utilize blockchain or tokens or games, etc., that are related to blockchain, and you want to use ChromaWay as a platform, ChromaWay tools ecosystem, please apply. Initially, we will have two phases. Initial phase will be that we will let people to join and then meet each other. And then in the phase 2, we want teams to be formed and have at least one technical person that can understand the technology. You don't need to be proficient or you don't need to know everything about blockchain, but you should be curious. You should have at least one person that is knowledgeable about technology so they can utilize the technology behind it. So what are we going to do during this incubation platform? So the idea here is it will start soon in November, and then it is going to continue till June 10th. And we will provide the network of like we have great network in the ecosystem. We will provide you the mentors. These mentors can be business mentors, technical mentors, blockchain mentors. We will help you to incubate. We will follow your progress. And when we see it is necessary, we will provide you additional support. But I want to highlight that we are not going to develop your application for you, but we will let you to utilize our API, our technology in the best way it is possible by our technical workshops. In addition, we will provide business workshops, business development, and also we will help you for the marketing. So you will get enough support and you will join our ecosystem, because most probably if we don't have the answer, some of the projects that we are supporting or some people in our network can help you to reach your answers. And we are also building our academy, like this type of technical education, business education that are specific for blockchain will be provided to you after you form the team. So as a result, we are really excited with the total project that we have been doing until now. And we want to actually help to flourish much more projects, much more applications. So we would like to welcome all of you, and we will be really glad to have some people from Croatia, from Split, to join to incubation program.